Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of Shred and Soul.
I'm Shred, a.k.a. Kevin Wood.
And I'm Soul, a.k.a. Wind Hughes.
Well, today we're going to break down the Malfunksshun song, Winter Bites. And I'll display some of the techniques on my guitar in a separate clip. And we'll probably end up talking a bit about Malfunksshun anyway.
Yeah, definitely. Before you jam a bit, I want to read some things that I pulled off the internet and just maybe look at the lyrics. And we talked about when that was recorded and speaking about that.
Mm-hmm. But first, some PSA.
We have some very important things. The first thing is the weather. Oh my gosh, I don't know where you're watching from, but we are in Northern California. And it's just amazing how my mood is impacted by the light and the sun. And we don't have a very long winter. It's just a few months where it rains. But when it rains, it's monsoon level rains. It rains hard and it rains long. Mm-hmm. So it's amazing when, for me especially, I can get out and get my hands in the garden and start working. And gosh, last weekend we worked 5 hours each. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's 10 hours worth of people power.
You got to do it.
Yeah. It was so much fun, and I have felt so good all week just having my hands immersed in the earth and the energy that is absorbed from that. You know, just like walking on dirt has an impact on everything in our system. So that was wonderful. I'm in a great mood.
Yeah, you know, an hour on the weed eater can also take about a week to get over.
You did a lot of weed eating. Do you hurt?
I did for a week.
Really? Yeah. How are you now?
I'm fine.
You're good. And so we're enjoying it. It's sunny. I can look outside the window right now. You can smell the redwoods. It's just pungent and raw, like this raw, earthy, foresty scent. That's just wonderful.
It is.
What else do we want to check in with?
Oh, yeah, we wanted to also mention the request for cat.
Request for
pictures.
Cats, yes.
To indulge our fetishes on cats. And we've gotten some, and we'll try to figure out how to insert those into
Yeah, we'll just
video.
insert them. We need more, though. We want more. We need more. We're cat crazy people, and the ones that we have are so sweet, and people emailed them as an attachment, and you can do that to shredandsoul@gmail.com. Mm-hmm. And we'll post the pictures, and we'll just maybe put your initials or your screen name if you want. You can say in the email whether you want us to mention your name, and we will or won't accordingly. Mm-hmm. But yeah, we are cat people, and I would say Kevin, especially when we got our cat Shanti, spoiled the heck out of her, which we have had to endure her entire lifetime. She's 14 now.
Mm-hmm. Well, you know, I did train that cat after she grew up to be one of the be super nice. It took a long time, but she's a nice cat.
She's a sweet cat.
Yeah.
But it's like this cat had ADD for 2 years. This cat was unique and wonderful and full of energy and did not stop moving for 2 years.
Yeah, source of constant entertainment.
Which you indulged in the same way he describes growing up with Brian and Andy, constantly playing and teasing and taunting and fighting, and that's how he was with Shanti.
Yeah, it's fun to have a kitten, you know, especially a kitten that never wants to stop. So
it was like having brothers again, right?
Yeah, it was fun. But they're so destructive. I remember I had a set of Checkmate EL34s, which are for a tube amp, right? And they're made in Czechoslovakia. They don't make them anymore, right? And I had them on the front of my desk, and the cat got up, and just, you know how cats do, they just knock shit over. And there goes my EL34s, my Czech.
I remember Teslas. The sound you made after that.
Was it the sound of the cat hitting the wall, or was it
you falling over?
Or me just being exasperated?
I think both. Yeah. No, the cat did not hit the wall.
No, I didn't throw it.
We would never do that.
Never hurt the cat.
No.
Ever.
Yes, and Shanti can do no wrong even when she does wrong.
Well, you know, it's a small animal.
Yeah. But yeah, your tubes were gone.
Mm-hmm.
Another thing I wanted to touch on is our episode that we did around Mother's Day on Mothers. I really want to thank those of you who commented and those of you who sent us emails. A lot of times folks will send us private emails. They don't want to comment publicly, which is totally fine. I do that too sometimes. But got some wonderful emails about mothers and loving mothers, and also people's history with difficult parenting situations. And I just want to say thank you for your vulnerability and your willingness to share so personally from your heart in the way that many of you did after that episode.
Yes.
Yeah. The other thing I wanted to mention, did you have something else?
Well, no, I was going to remind you.
Oh, the bowls? Yeah, it was after our last episode on Shred and Bowl, on Kevin shredding to the bowls, our trench jam. Yeah. Again, some really nice feedback and folks commenting.
That was a lot of fun.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. And some emails of folks saying they did sit down quietly and journey with it, and questions about why it works and how is it that the bowls, as soon as you hear them, you have a reaction. And we will do an episode on the bowls and why they work and how they are.
Some more of that.
Yeah.
Maybe break it down into the frequencies and how they affect the chakras.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And then one more thing was someone wrote in, we've had people ask about this, the apple, which was from the Mother Love Bone Apple album, one of the art pieces, but we also had, can you grab that please? We also had two people ask about why the heck we have a soda can on the shelves. And I don't know if you can see this well, zoom in. This is in Arabic. I picked up this Coca-Cola can in Egypt.
Want me to hold it up close to the camera?
Yeah, and I'm not sure what it was, whether it was the juxtaposition of the two worlds, Coca-Cola in Egypt, such a sacred, amazing place, but to have that can in Arabic is something that I get excited about, and other people say, why do you have a can on your shelves? It's a soda can. But to me, it's about being in Egypt and seeing this very sacred, beautiful, ancient place have, Kentucky Fried Chicken stores and McDonald's, and then something like a Coca-Cola can.
That's what do they call it? Arabic Spring. Remember that in 2012 or so when they were the uprising in Egypt?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Why would this be pre?
Because you've had it for longer than I've known.
Oh yeah, I've had it for a long time. Mm-hmm. Isn't the Arabic just beautiful?
Yeah, it's great.
It's such a gorgeous script. If you haven't looked at it, it just looks the way it sounds. It rolls off the tongue.
In medieval times, they used to adorn tapestries and other pieces of art with script that looked like Arabic writing.
I have a tapestry.
It wasn't really Arabic writing. It just looked like it. Yeah.
A beautiful font.
People have loved that for ever.
So that's the story. To those who asked why we have a soda can on our shelf, we'll just put it here, and you can zoom in and enjoy it if you'd like.
Have a drink off of it.
Have a drink. It's long dry. So did you want to jump into anything about malfunction? And I have something I'm going to read, but if you wanted to talk maybe about winter bites.
Yeah.
And I love the story of how and where that was
We were discussing winter bites, which is on the Back from Olympus CD that came out in 1995 on Loose Groove. And that was one of our, I think it's probably one of our best songs. I've always loved it. And I'll demo some of the parts for you in a little bit here. But Andy wrote this song when he was on a trip with my dad. They went on a sailing trip up in the San Juan Islands. I couldn't get off work, so I couldn't go. But, that was kind of something that we did as kids with our dad. And we went sailing, long-ish journeys. And anyway, I would always bring my guitar, and Andy, of course, brought his when he went on that trip. And he came back with this song and another one, actually, a I Want to Be Your Daddy, both at the same time.
Both written on the boat?
On the boat. He probably had the lyrics before he went, and he just put them to the guitar. I don't know.
You don't know?
I never asked him. That's one of my regrets, is that, being young, you don't think about things very much. And so I didn't really ask him what this song meant or how it all came about for him. It was just a song. It was a great song. So, I didn't ask any questions. I just started to make up my guitar parts for it, and then dig it as a real masterpiece of a song.
It's a great song.
Mm-hmm.
And the lyrics are, I looked at the lyrics and see if there's anything I want to read. It's basically, to me, he's talking about his pain over a relationship, someone who obviously didn't want him. And he also talks about how he could take his life, basically. He could overdose, but then that wouldn't give him the opportunity to shine for her. So it's a really sad song in a lot of ways, even though the music to me doesn't necessarily sound sad. It has a lot of power and energy to it.
It's basically on a major chord, and yes.
I think the words here, the world is my prison, the world is my prison, which he repeats. You let me down, I owe you one. A lethal dose could break all the ties that bind, but I'm yet to show you all my light. No room to spread my wings, winter bites. He guy is amazing lyricist, and he was in high school, right, when he did this one?
Yeah, I think it was close to the end of high school for him, but yeah. I mean, at the time, when we were rehearsing as Malfunction at that time, we didn't have an adequate PA to actually hear the vocals in it. So it was always just so surprising when they would come through on a recording, or, we did a lot of demo recordings there too, and we could hear the vocals, of course, when it got put together. But, it's just chilling how talented Andy was, and how stuff like this can just grab you. You might not know exactly what it means, but I think every person that hears it has their own internal emotional reaction to these words.
Well, listen to this line. I'll start the first few lines preceding this. Turn me over, baby. Won't you turn me over? Oh, yeah. Turn me over, woman. Can't ya? Turn me over. Oh, yeah. The world's my prison, baby. The world's my prison. The world's my prison. The world's my prison. Yeah. I've heard your logic and I've seen it in action. What more are friends for? The loser's conquest. In this line, so I'll go out dancing with the ladies. Jealousy erases and laughs at me. No room to spread my wings. Winter bites. So jealousy erases and laughs at me. So I envision, what is he saying? That she doesn't want him? And so he's going to go out dancing with the ladies, but that jealousy, because he's jealous, erases and laughs at him, that it really didn't matter. It didn't make him feel any better going out and dancing with the ladies. I don't know, but...
Yeah, that could be it.
Yeah, or maybe it didn't mean much anything, because you've said sometimes he just made profound lyrics that were just rhyming.
I'm sure this meant something to him.
I think
this
so.
This isn't just like that comic book stuff, like a lot of the Mother Love Bone, not to slag on Mother Love Bone at all, but like... some of that tends to be a little bit, rock clownish, in a way,
more
which is
commercial?
great, because, people have been doing that forever, rock and roll, hoochie coo, Rich Derringer, it's all fair game, but like West Virginia, where my father lies, my father was not dead at the time, never was born at Arlington.
What song is that in?
It's in, what is it? Stardog Champion.
Yeah.
So yeah. So this I love this song so much. It would make me upset to think that it doesn't mean anything, because it does.
It does. A lethal dose could break all the ties that bind, but I'm yet to show you all my light. And so many times in his songs you see his pain, but he'll counter it with something of hope or the future. And I think that describes your brother a lot.
Yeah, totally. It's a glimpse into his soul, and you might not understand the semantics of it, what it really means, what it's going on, but you can get a very good glimpse from these earlier lyrics as to what's going on. And this, when I remember back at this time, it was 1984, 85, right around there. And I don't recall him being in a relationship with a woman that would be like crazy over the top. I remember that he had those situations at the time. This was, from what I could tell, a fairly calm time in his life. It was really for all of us. We were living next door. I was living next door to Andy. He was living with my father, and I was renting a house from my father on the same piece of property, and that's where we rehearsed. And of course, we were always hanging out together, so it wasn't really like we lived in separate houses. It was kind of like my first house, and anyway, it was a good time, and we really made a lot of solid progress at that time as a band. That album that came out on it was a combination of Back to Olympus and the Basement tapes. They call them Basement tapes. That was recordings from that era in that house. So
the only Basement tapes I know are from the band.
Mm-hmm.
They had the Basement tapes with Dylan. They were called the Basement tapes, so I didn't know you were Basement tapes.
Well, I always call them I don't know. I picked up that slang, but rehearsal tapes.
Can I read something?
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to read this because, as Kevin can testify, I'll go see what's online about Malfunksshun or their family and look for things that were incorrect and say, did this really happen, or was this person really in the band then? And often it's correct, but sometimes it's not. But in doing that, I came across Apple Music's description of Malfunksshun, which I think is really, really cool, so I wanted to read it. Along with Green River, 80s Seattle band Malfunksshun is often cited as a founding father of the Northwest grunge phenomenon of the early 90s. Unlike many future Seattle stars, the band and charismatic frontman Andrew Wood had ambitions for arena-sized rock stardom. But the band's sound, which combined big hooks and anthemic Let me put my glasses on. I'm trying to do this without my glasses, but I'm going to humble myself here. Okay, that's better. Which combined big hooks and anthemic choruses of heavy metal with the spirit of punk, had a profound effect on many future grunge superstars of the early 90s. Malfunksshun gained attention in the mid-80s thanks to Wood's dynamic stage presence as a glammed-out rock and roll god. Equal parts Mark Bolan and Jim Morrison. Each member of the band adopted an onstage alter ego. Wood's older brother, guitarist Kevin Wood, became Kevin Stein, drummer Regan Hagar became Thundar, and Andrew became known as Landrew, the love child. By the mid-80s, Andrew was relying heavily on drugs to fuel his self-created rock star persona and to compensate for his innate shyness. He entered rehab in 1985, but his problems with drugs were far from over. In 1986, Malfunksshun was one of 6 bands featured on the CZ Records compilation titled Deep Six. 2 of the band's tracks, With Your Heart Not Your Hand and Stars in You, appeared on this album, along with efforts by fellow Northwest grunge pioneers Green River, the Melvins, Soundgarden, the U-Men, and Skinyard. This compilation was widely considered the first recorded document of grunge. With the exposure the band received from Deep Six, they soon found themselves opening for Seattle legends like Soundgarden, the U-Men, and Skinyard. I think that's a great testament to you guys.
It is, but there's one
mistake?
glaring mistake.
What?
In here it says Kevin Stein. It was Kevin Stein. Stein was the last name.
It wasn't Kevin Stein, like Frankenstein?
Kevin Stein.
Like Kevin Wood? There's no hyphen.
Well, they got it wrong. That's
Did you hyphenate it?
I'm complaining about it. I didn't hyphenate it. It was Kevin Stein.
I never knew that.
Yeah.
And I bet you a lot of fans out there never knew that. I just thought it was Kevin Stein.
No. Kevin
Well,
Stein.
there you go. Okay. So,
Okay.
so are you ready to get into the studio and do some jamming?
Yeah, I'll
when
show
the
you
lights-
some of the riffs, you know, and you know, a lot of people want to know how to play some of these songs, and there's no tabs, and they are a little bit unorthodox sometimes. So I'll show you a couple of the signature riffs of this song.
Okay.
Winter Bites by
Okay.
Malfunction.
Take it away,
by
Kevin.
Andy. Yeah. Before I show you how to play the song, here's Malfunction Live 2016 at Flights Club in Seattle. Enjoy.
This next song is Winter Bites. Y'all know this one? freaking rock. Thank you very much. How y'all feeling tonight?
Now here's how to play the main riffs, Winter Bites. So the first part of it is just based on kind of A major with some suspension. And then the pre-chorus it's a D shape. I'm playing some open strings here, and then the two bottom strings of the chord. And then of course the chorus. There you have it, three main parts of Winter Bites. You know, that song is just so much fun to play live too, when you have the bass and the drums going and the vocals ringing out. Yeah, it does kind of. I've seen people with tears in their eyes when they play that song. Actually,
yeah. It's a very moving song,
very moving.
And interesting because it's a very powerful song. Mm-hmm. It's definitely not your quiet, mellow song. It's really powerful and emotional.
That was the thing about Andy's songwriting, too. It was always like that because of his selection of chords and progressions were very, I want to say, upstanding. They were big, bold statements. And, yeah, it was really cool. Really cool.
And so is the music, and the music that you wrote for Monument. It's the same with that. That music is bold and beautiful and yet emotional.
That's true. And that was kind of what we were trying to do, I guess, as Malfunction. It was a big, bold, beautiful statement. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So where can people who may be hearing of you for the first time or didn't know about some of these songs, where can they get your music?
Go to Bandcamp, Malfunction, about Bandcamp, Malfunction, Google it. So go there and check it out.
Okay.
We got some post-Andy Malfunction material there too. It's, there's definitely not the same without Andy in there, but it is still some pretty cool stuff.
It is.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
We've had some help along the way.
So there you have it.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks for Winter Bites. It's always great to hear.
Thanks for Winter Bites.
Thanks for Winter Bites, and we'll see you all next time.
Okay.
Don't forget your cat pics.
Yeah. And maybe you'll see them on one of our episodes.
Yeah, maybe next week if we get a few more. Okay, bye.
Bye.